right, we can. Hello, and thanks so much for joining us. This week we've got Nick Midbow from the Minneapolis Wheat Kings, along with Tim Semish from the NABLL, as well as the Nashville Ignite. But Nick, we had a chance to talk before Nationals last year. It was awesome catching up with you again a little bit before here. But how's the team doing so far this year?
We did, yeah. I appreciate you having me back on again. Always fun to, like you said, BS about box lacrosse. Season's going really well. We just wrapped up last night, 6-0 finish for the boys. We have regional playoffs starting on Friday, and it's been a fun season so far.
Nice. You guys going 3-game series or winner take all 1-game series?
Yeah, three-game series. Friday is at home. Saturday will be a road game against the 2 seed, which is the Inver Grove Ice Stokes, about 20-30 minutes east of us, and then we're back. If it's split, we're back on Sunday at home. So 1-2-1, best of 3.
Nice. How the boys feeling? You got practice? Any team activities rolling up to it, or feeling good? 6-0.
Feeling good. Let some of our older legs rest last night, and just trying to get guys recovered and ready to go for Friday. So we'll keep it pretty low key. We'll probably do a little chat talk, little chat later in the week. But yeah, we're feeling good.
Now, how many guys you got on the roster? Sorry. How many guys you got rolling on the roster? You got enough to sit the old legs?
We're 30 on our protected roster, and then we got 3 or 4 guys that are kind of more practice squad. A couple younger siblings of guys on the team, and then some guys that are just newer to box lacrosse. So we're at 33, 34.
So that was my question. Was essentially last year you guys had a pretty experienced team. I'm not going to say you had an old man team, but you had a lot of experience out there as well. Like I was quite surprised with the amount of experience that came out of there, because coming from the East, everybody told us that this was supposed to be the the region that goes out and just kind of shows everybody how it is. But we watched the Wheat Kings handle themselves pretty well out there. I mean, it was definitely a great game. You guys lucked out. You had the Swarm team out there, and you guys kind of kept some talent from there and have built your team.
I lost you guys.
Oh.
No, did we lose him?
No, we hadn't. And then after he said he lost us, I feel like he lost us, but he should be right back here in a second. Are you still there, Tim? Yeah, I was going to say, if you're still there, it's not on our end.
No, but that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that's always a question I've wanted to ask Nick, is like, how many of those Swarm guys stuck around, or like what was the influence of the Swarm being around? Like those guys. There he is. I think he's back.
I heard none of that. Wouldn't be a podcast without some technical difficulties. So last I heard, yes, came out, had an okay time at Nationals last year. We definitely did have an old man team. I don't know, Tim, what your question was, but to answer the first part at least, that has been probably the most interesting thing about this year. So this is year 6 for us, and this was really the first time where we've had kind of true roster upheaval. That core group of guys, probably, I don't know, half a dozen or so of like kind of our biggest guys, biggest leaders, biggest producers, they all either, aged out, starting young families, moved around, or expansion like with their day job. And so we are younger than we've ever been. We're probably deeper than we've ever been. We've had a lot more balanced in terms of production, a lot of new faces kind of in more leadership positions. So it's been really cool to see this first kind of big turnover year of the second class of guys. So that's been really cool. And then Tim, I heard the tail end of your question about the Swarm being here. We were super fortunate about that. So Corbin Tao is still playing with us. He was with the Swarm for about 5 years when they were up here. Played another 2 seasons with the Mammoth. Does a lot of coaching. It's actually really cool. We coach box lacrosse together for Team Minnesota, along with Alex Johnson, number 59. And we now have 3 or 4 players that we coached coming up through kind of their high school box. So that's been really cool. I mean, his leadership is massive for us, just his knowledge of the game. And then we've been fortunate in kind of our early years getting off the ground, getting some input from guys like Sean Pollock, Ryan Ward, others that kind of were in the area from when the Swarm were here. So it was huge.
So is there still kind of that residual effect of the Swarm? Because that was what, 6-7 years ago, or longer than that?
So they left in, I want to say 15 to go to Georgia. So a lot of those guys aren't playing anymore. but again, they're around. They're, you know, the high school coaching scene is super tight knit up here, so you know they're just a text away. They watch a lot of our games when we stream them and stuff, so you know they're right there for some input and you know coaching and stuff. So that's been, I mean, it has been massive. But again, now we're at that point where that kind of initial first group is kind of starting to age out of it, and then we've got kind of this new crop coming up.
So that's got to be super exciting that you're starting to get some of those younger guys that you've, so they've got your guys' style, philosophy kind of built into them,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to get like that Grand Rapids where Pittsburgh was talking about it. You know, they have robots that they just keep churning out.
Yeah.
Where you start to get your own little robots of kind of. Now, what is the essentially the flavor you would say of Minneapolis box compared to everywhere else?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think one thing is pressure. You know, we put a lot of pressure on defense. We love to press out. We love to, you know, send doubles, be physical, and then run in transition a little bit. But we try to be smart about it. That's been a fun opportunity this year with the young guys, is knowing, you know, when too fast is too fast, right? But and then offensively, again, having a lot of the input from guys like Corbin, and then now this group of people that are kind of on the older end of the team that have been maybe playing box for 5-6 years at a pretty high level. I think we're pretty smart offensively. We got a bunch of different looks. We've got a good mix of lefts and rights, so we can go heavy left, heavy right, depending on kind of how we want to mix the matchup up that day or that possession. And then with having that younger group that's super eager to learn, they're super bought in, we've actually been able to kind of get deeper into like some systems this year and have a couple different looks to throw at guys as opposed to just the kicking and screaming strategy of get the ball to the Canadians and set picks. So that's been fun and different for us too.
So do you guys have kind of like the old man look of like, all right, like old man 5 out, and then like the young guys 5 out, and like you kind of like balance that back and forth, or do you kind of go 2 and 3, or how? Like, give me, you don't got to give your whole.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, we that's a good point though, because we will mix it up. So we'll usually go, you know, an experienced guy or two with some of the young guns, and then you get a really good mix. So that's been a ton of fun. In a couple weeks, we're gonna actually do an inter squad game, and we're probably gonna do what PLL did and split them up, young guns against vets. And it was really cool looking at like handedness, contributions, play style. Like they were so balanced, and it was literally split 50-50, like down to the guy. So it's a cool, like I would say, yeah, we have 2 different, I'm not gonna say speeds, but we have two different styles that it's pretty cool to see how they mix.
Yeah, that's got to be an effective strategy. I mean, that kind of explains some of your guys' score differentials, because like as a defender, that sucks when you never really know, like, are they going to go fast this possession? Are they going to go slow this possession?
Yep.
What am I working with here? Or next thing you know, if you can run transition, you got 4 or 5 goals in transition, you blink, the game's over, especially if you're doing a run clock game at nationals.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. You guys did that last year,
Yeah, no, that's been a ton of fun. And then the energy too, like feeding off of guys that, you know, never get tired. For some of the older guys on the squad, it's pretty easy to work hard when you got a, 19-year-old kid screaming at the top of his lungs. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you see those guys. I'm watching the highlights now, so you get the guys that can run 200 feet, get back on the bench, and then they're ready to just get back out there. It's
Yep, literally never get tired. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know how some of these
I'm
guys
so
do
mad in this clip that number 15 is standing right there, because that would have gone viral.
Where'd that go? Where'd that shot go in?
Near side B2B off the rebound, and we got it in 8K video, but we had a guy standing in front of the lines. So.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Did you bench him after that? Did you tell him that's it? I don't care if that's where you should have been in the game. Obviously, you ruined our viral clip. You're done. You're sitting now for a week.
Well, to make it worse, it was my viral clip, so I was twice as bitter about it. Yeah. So no, we've got. What's that?
I was gonna do that with social media. So do you run the social media, like, because you guys are probably top 5 in the league social media wise? Like,
the 8K video is phenomenal. Like, I love watching your clips. Whatever camera you guys are using or cell phone is amazing.
Yeah, the 8K top 5, and we're not 5.
I mean, social media, not skill. You don't have an out of region game. That's the only thing keeping you out of the top 5 is an out of region game. But there's 2 teams from the Northeast. One of them's got to lose, right? So
Fair enough.
we'll see. We'll see come nationals. But it's not
Fair
just
enough.
a video.
Yeah, no, and I mean, to be fair too, right? It's games are played on the floor, not on a spreadsheet. So we don't care where we are.
Yeah.
In the rankings. So it'll be fun. But yeah, no, social on my list of shout outs, Mike Hasler. He does a lot of the Gophers hockey media. I coach a little bit with the Gophers MCLA team. He did some of our clips. So got to know him through that. And then he was like, what's this box lacrosse thing you guys are talking about? We got a couple Gophers on the team. And he does an amazing job with video. He's been incredible for us. And then keeping it fun. We do a lot of themed games. We do a lot of kind of themed graphics and try to mix it up a little bit.
Talk a lot of smack in the comment sections.
a little bit, just keep it fun. Keep it fun.
I mean,
that one's got the Always Sunny theme. Yeah, that was the fun one.
Yeah, there's a video of I can't think of his name, the big defender who runs transition. I can't think of his last name, but like it starts with a G. Gouts.
Golds. You're talking about Golds. Yeah.
I literally for like an hour probably just wasted my lunch just watching you chirp back and forth with somebody about like whether or not it was legal or not legal and just kind of talking. That was an electric comment section for a good hour. That made my day. So that's what, like.
Oh yeah, no, the hit scene around the world. That clip had a few views.
Yeah, just a little bit. That's what I'm saying is you need to do a little bit of a masterclass for the rest of the teams in the league of like, yo, this is how you got to do 8K video. You got to talk a little smack. You got to go kind of all over the place. We got a GIF in one of them. Like you're kind of all over the place.
Happy to do it. I think a lot of teams borrow pretty heavy-handedly anyway, as it is. So why don't they just go the full 9 yards? I'll give them. I'll teach a class. Let's do it.
You can charge for it.
Yeah. Good luck. Whoever. What do you guys have for a camera that you're doing that with? Because the slow mo and everything is phenomenal.
Yeah, so like I said, the guy we're working with, he's a videography student at the University of Minnesota. He does a lot of the Gophers hockey, Gophers basketball stuff. So he's got a prosumer setup. He's in that world every day. He gets good clips. And I'm a little bummed. We got our next chunk of them coming up. They'll probably go up later tonight, early tomorrow. I was hoping we had a couple of those because we had some. We scored a few goals in our game yesterday.
Just a few.
Just a couple, and they have this amazing file share where we happen to take all the media and we'll put it all up here. A lot easier than me having to comb through your Instagram. Although this is real difficult. I mean, as you can see me clicking my fingers, we're sitting here watching all these sick. That is gorgeous. Yeah, you guys do have a lot of sick highlights.
Number 9, look at that guy.
Who's that? I wonder who that is.
Oh, this kid is electric right here. So this is Gus Bell right here, this red helmet kid. He's actually a current high school student. First time we've ever had to do like a parent waiver. He shows up to day 1 of practice. His dad comes in, with this check and waiver or whatever, and he sees me in full gear. And he goes, "Oh, that's really cool." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You're going to coach them and get out there and kind of show them how it's done." I was like, "Yeah, wear a lot of hats." And then another guy walks by. He goes, "Oh, that's so cool. He's doing it too." And I'm like, "Oh, not really. He's just playing." And then he's like, "Oh, ha ha, good one." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" This kid convinced his dad that it was a high school league. His dad found out it was a men's league when he dropped him off at our first practice / scrimmage. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't tell me this." And he just kind of gets all bashful and he's like, "I'm going to go get dressed." And he's like, I don't know about this. And then the kid goes out and scores. I think he had 5 goals in the scrimmage, bodied a guy, tried to start a fight. Like this kid was all over the floor. He's a maniac. I think he's tied for the region lead in goals. And he's definitely has an unbreakable record for number of headbutts in a game. This kid is, dude, you guys will see it. He's an absolute electric factory. Gus Bell, big shout out to Gus Bell. The kid is all right.
Early candidate for Rookie of the Year is what I'm hearing.
Easy Rookie of the Year. Yeah, easy Rookie of the Year.
I got to hear the headbutt story.
And then what we're seeing now, someone does anything, routine ground ball. We force a shot clock violation, win a face off, whatever it is. He is screaming like it's, like it's the greatest thing he's ever seen, and it's just immediate smash, head on head.
In celebration?
The guy is, like I said, he's just an absolute electric factory. In celebration, yeah.
That's even better.
The hype level of this kid is off the charts. It is so much fun.
It is. I love the emo night too. That was amazing,
easy
by the
rookie
way.
beater. Emo night, yep. So we always try to have a theme for our home games. Kind of pride ourselves on the game day experience. But yeah, we did an emo night. We did a firefighter appreciation night. We did like college and students night. Then we're gonna do an EDM night for that inter squad game. The hardest game of the year. See what we did there. So, like I said, we keep it fun.
I like it. I love it. So
you guys get a good crowd going? Like you guys got a pretty loyal fan base built?
It's okay. I gotta take some notes. I mean, whatever Rachel's doing over in Inver Grove, they get like 300 kids at every single game with signs and cheers and stuff. I don't know what she's doing over there. I know she's super involved with like their youth programs and stuff, but I think that's the move. We probably have the worst attendance of the three, but if you're there for a good time.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta get some kids in the seats. Got to do a youth night maybe or something. Gotta
get some kids in the seat. Yeah.
Now, is that something though that all three?
We had pretty good turnout.
No, I'm saying all three teams actually have, because not every team in this league even has where you can have home, like home fans and stuff. But all three of you guys have home rinks, and you do like a home night kind of thing.
So 2 of the 3 teams have a home rink. The Inver Grove team has their own rink. They've got a great setup over there. It's a double floor, so they've got a hockey and then a turf that's turf most of the year. They have a great setup. And then we have our facility in Northeast Minneapolis. There's a St. Paul team. They were kind of barnstorming this year. They were kind of a last minute addition. They split their games, so they had 1 home game at our place and then 2 in Inver Grove, where they were on the home bench. They got the playlist. They had their merchandise for sale, all that. They'll probably, we're talking a couple different facilities for them for next season, so they have their own dedicated home rink, but 2 of the 3 have their own.
That's rare. That's a nice setup for you guys. And you guys are all what, within an hour, 2 hour, or not 2 hours, you get hour or under, right?
Yeah, about an hour. I mean, I would say even probably closer to 45 minutes. One thing we're super fortunate is, the metro area is very condensed. I know there's been a lot of talks with kind of some pockets outside of the metro in Minnesota and western Wisconsin, northern Iowa. So it sounds like soon we'll be traveling a little bit further, but for now we're all, the furthest anyone's driving is 45 minutes.
Nice. But historically, you guys have traveled though, right? Like compared to the other teams out of Minnesota. Like I remember last year, I think you guys played Chicago, no? From another league?
Yeah, we'll try to pick up a game or 2 against kind of one of the other local, just like some exhibitions and stuff to play more. But as far as league games, like back in the old IBLA days, and then first 2 seasons of NABLL, we've had pretty short commutes. The furthest the team out was an hour-ish. So
that's gotta help with game attendance, though, right? You got a full bench every time.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, sitting at 33, 34, we're usually having a healthy, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 guys. We definitely have like a rotation of that, so it's not the same guy every time, but we'll usually have a pretty full bench. Yeah.
Do you do that based off of like practice attendance, or is it like a game by game like schematic thing? Like how do you make that decision? Because you're making that call, right?
Yeah, I'm the one making that call. It's probably the worst thing about doing this, honestly. Like it sucks to scratch your buddy, but performance, matchup, and then so the system we use, and I would definitely suggest if anyone's listening to this, that is dealing with this, like be very organized and communicate this up front, that it is, you know, like we're trying to win games, right? Or whatever it is that your mantra is. But we have a spreadsheet and we'll allow people to pick 2 games that they make the lineup no matter what. And so usually those are the games they got family out of town, they got some coworkers coming up to watch, whatever it is. And so I'll slot them into our lineup card first, and then I'll kind of build the rest of the roster around what they do. So I kind of work backwards, you know, to make sure, again, guys are getting their games, especially when, you know, they're playing against people they want to play against, or they've got people in the crowd. So working backwards and then being super proactive about that has helped. But, you know, as I'm sure you guys have seen, the season's a grind, and, you know, it's usually not hard for someone to say, you know, hey, I'm feeling a little banged up. I'll run a door for this one. So we always have a couple of those guys too.
That's a genius way to do it, though. I love that thing about throwing, you know, because you do, like you said, you've got people with family traveling and stuff like that to knock those 2 games. That's
right.
That's a solid idea.
Yeah. How often you cut yourself?
Yeah, and I mean it's semi-pro, right? But I have only done it. I've done it twice. Once to play goalie, and then another time I had a work conflict. So
you hopped in.
I'll slot myself in there too. Yeah.
You hopped in net though? Was that this year?
I hopped in net last year. Statistically, the best goalie in Minnesota. It is what it is. You know, I just put on a dominant performance, and it was on public access TV. So got to hear the announcers talk about how coach and GM and first-time goalie is an absolute brick wall.
How much you played goalie before that, though? Are you a ringer, or was it like a? Yeah. Oh wow, good for you.
I hate hopping did it.
I hate hopping in that. Makes no sense. I played hockey.
It was an emergency situation for sure, and I have not done it. I have not done it since. I'll stick with my one excellent goalie day, and I'm never gonna. It might have been lightning. I don't want to risk it not striking twice. So.
Yeah, you just got to retire, you know, as a champ, undefeated, the best goalie ever in Minnesota history.
Going out on top. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, no more.
Are those stats on the website? Were they there from last year? You put it up? You pad the stats a little bit too, or was it?
Yeah. No, and it was a road game too. So I think if anything, they kind of nerfed the stats a little bit.
Yeah, the fans in your ear. Yeah, that's a performance of a lifetime. Take it and run with it. Yeah.
Now you guys,
yeah, never hopping back in again. I've got pads just in case, but.
Now you talked about public access TV and the streaming, so that is something that they show up for the invert games, right? Is the Isotopes they get the local team, so that's like a consistent thing.
Yeah, you know, big shout out, you know, second person on my shout out list, Rachel. She has phenomenal relationships with a lot of kind of key people throughout the metro. And for their home games, and it's not every game, but I mean, we got 2 games over at their place on TV. 2 of the, well, I guess both times we traveled out there. Yeah. Great, you know, multi-camera announcer color, replays, scoreboard, visuals, everything, pregame show, like a legitimate broadcast. Shocked actually at the quality of it. Town Square TV, Town Hall TV, whatever it is. Huge shout out. They did an amazing job with it. And they get it pretty consistently. They did 1 game last year, 2 this year. And I think they're going to have some more already in the works for next year too. So, yeah, shout out to Rachel and shout out to the crew that she got doing the game, because it was not just like a couple people with a tripod. It was a legit production.
Yeah, I watched your guys' first game this year, and I clicked on Instagram, like thinking like, oh, another like live stream from the rafters with no commentary, and like it was mid replay. I think you guys had just scored, and I was just like, what am I watching right now? Like it is almost ESPN quality replay breakdown, and the announcers know lacrosse too. Like I don't know if you guys talk to them or what, but like they know a little bit about box. Like they were
No, it sounds ridiculous, but like it was truly like a professional level broadcast from just this random, you know, town like public access crew. I was blown away at the quality of the production. It was awesome. Weren't as electric on the mic as Blue Squatch, So
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
get sad over there.
oh no,
We're good.
yeah, no, I'm
they
that
had
guy that
fewer
shows
Mountain
up.
Dews. They had fewer Mountain Dews stacking up.
Yeah, I show up with the tripod. We're the guys with the tripod, one camera. That's we're good with that. And they definitely
Tripod,
don't.
one camera, but hey,
We are
you're putting
getting.
it into the broadcast, man. You're giving the people what they want.
Why, thank you. We are getting quite a few. This was yeah, we got their game last week. That I cannot wait for nationals because so far like their division has been I don't know, that Thousand Island team, and they lost the first couple times to Oswego, and every time Utica thinks they're coming back, it's been close. So I mean, this Friday their playoffs are, and then Sunday the finals will be whichever team wins either Oswego or Utica Friday is going to go play them Sunday in the championship. And unfortunately, we won't even
Nice.
be able to make it there. We'll be in Onondaga and Buffalo.
Oh man. So they're doing just a one game. So it's 2 plays 3, and then the winner plays 1. Winner take all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be the common theme this year. I think there's a couple 3-game series, but like down in the South, we're doing the same thing: 2 play 3, winner plays 1, winner take all, take it and run kind of thing. Yeah, not everybody's as lucky as you guys to be 45 minutes from their
Close
opponent.
enough to Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the goal though. That's the eventual goal to kind of get it kind of like college hockey. You got to play a 2-game, 3-game series to kind of earn your way to get to nationals.
It's such a cool and like different dynamic that a lot of people don't get to do. The vibe of momentum swings, everything in the series is such a cool, unique experience that I feel super lucky to have been able to do through box because it's not like anything else.
Yeah, because last year
you go down or you go up, and it.
You guys lost last year, right?
Like last 2 years, we've dropped game 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last 2 years, we dropped game 1, and then it's like emergency team meeting at brunch. Guys, we're switching the lineup out. And then guys are coming in dialed in. We win both times, 1 game 2, and then last year had a pretty close game 3. The year before just blew their doors off in game 3. But just again the swings of like our backs against the wall. Now we take the momentum. Now you step on the throat. Like it's such a cool and different thing than any other sports experience that most people get to have.
Who's giving the locker room speech for you guys? You or Tao or who?
Yeah, if it's like kind of more tactical or like productive, it's me or Corbin. If it's get the boys going, it's either Gus Bell, the Electric Factory, or the rookie getting up there, or Justin Siebert. He's been with us for every year of the team. Guy's a firefighter. He's good for 4 minutes penalties and 1 attempted fight per game. He brings the vibes. He's a good dude.
Everybody needs that guy. Everybody needs that enforcer.
Yeah. So it depends what we need. If we need a little bit of juice, I'll let one of those 2 guys speak. If we need to fix a couple of things, it'll be me or Corbin.
You're not a pump up speech guy?
No, I love it. It's just I'm not headbutting everybody like Gus is.
Yeah. There is something about that mentality. Everybody's known.
I'll happily give one if needed, but I'll let the boys. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about those guys. Like everybody's known those guys through sports. They just have a different way of kind of getting everybody jazzed up, and there's an energy that you can't mimic.
Oh, yeah.
If nobody you either are that person and you're that kind of nuts, or it's hard to you can't really imitate it. You're not gonna to mock it at all. At least I don't think you can.
Well, it's funny too. Kind of looking around, and you're like, you'll catch somebody's eyes, and they're just as confused. They're like, what is going on? What did this kid just say? And everyone else is, mosh pit, full of go. Yeah, boys are buzzing. And it's like nothing was said there, but whatever. We'll roll with it.
If it gets the juices flowing, like I've learned that from a few pump up speeches from both football and
gets people going.
Yeah, get the boys going. As long as the boys are buzzing, it doesn't matter. Say what you want. Loud, proud, and get it going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's awesome. Everybody needs that guy. So you guys your season's wrapped up. How did you what did you guys think about the consolidated season essentially? Did it really affect you, or you guys I mean, did it change because your team kind of changed anyway, so it didn't really seem to be like a driving force in, getting more players because now the season's shorter or
Yeah, so it was condensed for a couple of reasons, right? One, league kind of taken into account guys wanting to have their as close to a full roster as they can for nationals. So moving it up, which I think phenomenal decision. I'm glad the league went to that. So that kind of cut off the end of it, but we had a delayed start too. So we somehow were able to pull off, all what would it be, 18, not 18. My math is wrong there. 12, whatever number of games it is to get 3 teams to play 6 games. I don't know what that permutation is, but we did it all in 3.5 weeks. Um, being, as organized as we could, having a good crop of guys to pull from and kind of mix guys in so we're not just jamming the same 20 people every night was super helpful. But I mean, it was a grind. Like it was a really fun grind, and we were also we were kind of mapping out the schedule. Like we were like, look, we'll take a back to back. We'll take 2 games in 3 days, whatever it is, because that's the grind that nationals is. I mean, we saw that firsthand last year. We kind of blew our load a little bit in that Friday game against Utica. Scored all our goals for the weekend on Friday, and then guys kind of ran out of steam Saturday afternoon. Those games are physical. Those games are fast. Those games are a grind. And so we were like, okay, let's get guys as ready for that type of play as possible. So, we embraced it, and it went off without a hitch. But it was condensed on both sides, which was, yeah, I mean, 6 games in 3 weeks was nuts.
You guys historically play a lot of your games July and August. Is there a reason why June is kind of X'd out for you guys? Is that by design, or everybody wants June to be kind of a summer, or?
So it's a little bit of both. So we typically would start kind of late June into August. We had an issue. One of the teams, the Freeze, they've kind of been the perennial second place team the last couple of years. They had kind of some ownership shuffle. They ended up not being able to field a team, so we were kind of scrambling a little bit. Had to kind of make a third team actually, and that was done in over the course of 48 hours, tail end of June. Get everything booked, planned, signed, sealed, delivered. Jam packed for a really busy July. So that was not, I guess, the most intentional or the most optimal. But we do know that, beginning, middle of June is tough anyway. You got our high school state tournament. You've got a lot of guys out for, showcases, camps, clinics, etc. I would say on our, 33-man roster, probably 18 of those guys coach either club or varsity lacrosse. So June is already kind of tough, but it got even tougher because we had to kind of scramble to get a third team together.
How late does the Minnesota State tournament go? I mean, I'm from the Midwest. I should know better, but you guys probably can't start your spring stuff till March.
Can't start. So the official starts April. You can't do anything until it's usually like April 1st, April 2nd. State tournament is second week of June. So like this year, I think it was the 10th through the 15th or something along those lines.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that eats into it. So when do you guys start getting the boys together? Like for like get-togethers, practices, shooting around?
Yeah. So we did it a little different. So we did a house league last fall and winter, which I think was super helpful. That got a lot of people kind of around the program and like aware of some of the stuff we were doing. And then we did a like pickup style league in the spring. We really didn't do our first practice or anything until that last week of June.
Oh, wow. That's a quick turnaround, huh? So you guys are just.
Yeah. And I mean, again, part of that kind of by design, right? Just touch and go with availability. But part of that too was season details were kind of up in the air while we figured out, what was going to happen with this third team. So.
Fun as you but at least you get more people. So when you did the house league, is that like all 3 teams are playing together, or is that more of a Wheat Kings thing and you've got your like 20 to 40 guy or 30 guys that you kind of play with, or is it all 3 teams kind of mixed together?
Yeah, we got a couple of guys from every team. It's mostly a Wheat Kings thing. We had a lot of Gophers guys as well, and college guys that were kind of in the metro. So mostly Wheat Kings guys, but then we kind of supplemented with people that just wanted to play more lacrosse.
Would you open it to the other squads, or did you intentionally try to keep it kind of like an internal thing to kind of like build camaraderie?
No, we the whole thought, right, was, I mean, we've been pretty historically dominant. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody who knows anything about it. So it was fun to like mix up the teams a little bit and kind of be, I don't know, sometimes be the underdog, or sometimes, be the team that you maybe got to have I don't know, like it was fun to mix it up. There wasn't that by 10 goals, and if you don't, you fail.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, didn't know.
So that was cool. And then it was nice too to, a couple guys that, I don't know, there's some people up here, they tell you I'm the Antichrist. But for them to kind of mix in and see, hey, I'm just a guy that wants to play box, man. That was kind of cool to make some new friends out of some enemies.
Fair. I mean, everybody's got enemies somewhere. But I mean, I've known you for what, 4 years now, and I mean, I feel like you played box. You played box on the moon if there was a rink. No, like I feel like every time I see you, it's in a different state.
Hell yeah.
Like.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So, or country. So yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Do you got any of your boys that go with you for those, or are you just a Roman free agent?
I was for a while. Again, kind of the benefit of this turnover, we've got some guys now that are, new in their careers. They've got a little bit more bandwidth to do stuff like that. And they're, starting to have the money to be able to do it too. So it's been fun bringing some of our younger guys along for some of that stuff. We've got a crew of probably 5-ish guys that are willing to travel. And then now everyone's seeing how fun that is and how helpful it can be. So we will start to be able to do some tournaments. We're going to put a team in Nashville. That'll be the first time we put a team in a tournament, that's not in a 6-hour driving radius. Yeah. And then we're talking about getting some groups out to some of these other big tournaments around the country.
Nice. That'll be
it's
big.
Growing, man. It's been a lot. It's growing.
No, it's growing. It's awesome to see everybody traveled around. And it's funny how small the community is. Like you said, there's only a handful of those tournaments. Like you've got the Nashville tournament. Everybody talks about Prague.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody talks about Laxnai, but there really is only a few of them where everybody kind of always seems to flock. But it always does seem like there's a decent tournament as far as getting guys to go. Now, do you guys, I find like one of the biggest things I think from this NABLL is you've taken a lot of guys who were field players who get a chance to play box. Is that something you guys get a lot to do with the Gophers and kind of merging guys, or are you guys now at the point where because you've been doing it for 6 years, you're basically bringing in a steady supply of box players?
I mean, I hate to give you the same answer again, but it's a little bit of both. Minnesota has a ton of very good youth box lacrosse. There's 4 clubs that do dedicated box programs coached by box guys. They're not just playing field indoors. There's an endless supply of rinks here and indoor facilities. So there are a lot of people that it's not their first time playing box. Like I know the Isotopes, they have 20 new players on their team. They've got 38 total, and probably half of those guys have played high level, high school or club box lacrosse. For our crop of new kids, I coached a handful of them. Merrick Regan, he's been kind of a stalwart for us the past couple of years. He's coached a handful of guys. So we've got that. And then we've got some guys that are just, good field players that want to use it as a tool to get better. So we've had a good mix, but Minnesota is kind of this weird sleeping giant, I think, with box lacrosse. You've got some of the best, we went out to US Box, the Winter Nationals, and at the 2 high school divisions, True Lacrosse won one of them, and then mine and Corbin's team, Minnesota team, won the other one. So there's a lot of box here, actually, which is really cool. And there's a lot of guys, too, that are, a lot of talent out there that's not playing in a league, or that maybe they're just hearing about it or they want to give it a shot, and we'll take those guys, too.
you see more teams blossoming, like out of like not just Minneapolis, but like kind of the area? Like you were saying, you got those small pockets, but like, do you see like a 5-6 team region just being Minnesota a few years down the road?
Yeah, I think so. Minnesota, and then maybe the Dakotas, Iowa, Wisconsin. There's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of people that don't want to give up playing lacrosse just because they're done with high school or done with college. So, we'll scratch, claw, and grind for opportunities to keep doing it.
Yeah, that is one of the beautiful thing about this league. Now let's get to one of everybody's favorite parts, and one that I know at least there is definitely always a ton of smack talk, and nobody ever agrees with these, which is probably part of the fun of it, really. So, Tim, since I'll let you explain your factors going into the power rankings.
So these are the main ones that it's not just me. I'm not making these by myself.
No, we're gonna just completely blame you, Tim. This is all your fault. It's anybody who has any angry comment, please point it at Tim.
That's fine. I'll be the computer of the BCS. That's fine. Yeah. So overall record does play, the main record, which I know, Nick, you're just waiting to tee off. But then the out of region games, we explained it last week. Like out of region games, the focal point for the league is we wanted to get away from the old leagues model of you play the same 2-3 teams over and over and over. So we're trying to encourage those teams and encourage those regions. Nick, I know you guys are kind of on an island out there by yourselves, kind of how we are down here in Nashville. It's hard for our teams to play those out of region games. So it's not the only factor. And then, strength of schedule as well. And then I added that little note from last week, Beecher. I don't know if you noticed that, but like your overall regions record versus out of region. Because again, we're trying to slowly build and slowly erase that semi-pro from the semi-pro name of the
It's
league.
also only the second year, so it's kind of hard to start establishing the divisions because, like last year, you get the nationals, but really, like Collar City, by the end of that tournament, everybody knows that wasn't what Collar City has to offer. By Sunday at that nationals tournament, everybody knows that's not everybody's full team, and
Yeah,
it's different. But it does take a few years of kind of playing against each other, getting to see. I know I was absolutely amazed at the basically the way it went. As I was always told, the Northeast is going to go out there and they're just going to smoke everybody. And we got out there, we got to see it, and I was like, wow, there is a lot of talent all over the place. And I mean, getting to talk to Nick and then getting to talk to Dave out west, there is all these little pockets, and you find it only takes a couple of guys that put the time in, and then the next thing you know, you've got like a whole kids program, and then 15 years later, somebody gets to kind of start a box team, and you get to luck out. It's like, hey, sweet, thanks for putting in all that work, old timer.
Yeah, and I mean that was one of the beauties of nationals last year was going into nationals. If I remember correctly, there were 3 Eastern teams that were pissed at where they kind of fell in the pools, and it was like they thought that those 3 teams were just going to run the field, and then Dave's team ended up in the semifinals. Nick, I think you guys finished 5th, right? 5th or 6th, but you beat some teams.
Yeah, so we won that consolation game. Yeah,
but you guys.
I mean, to be fair.
Go ahead.
Well, to be fair, that the group of death kind of beat each other up. So
yeah, that was. But we're taking that into account this year. We're trying. I don't know if you know the format. If you watched the show, I think that was 2 weeks ago. We talked about it. So historical power plays a factor. So if the teams who finished the top 4 last year, if all 4 of them make it this year, those 4 will be separated, and then everybody else is literally getting drawn out of a hat. We're gonna do it live. I'm trying to get ping pong balls made so we can make it like true, NBA, NHL lottery. But we're gonna take that into account because this year it'll be 4 pools instead of those 2 big pools. Because there was a little bit of a group of death last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of nationals last year was, I mean, Charlotte surprised some teams. I don't think anybody pegged the Wild to win it all. And then the Kings. Well, there's too many Kings. Collar City was short guys. Dave's team out west.
I think we should just have a battle for the Kings, so we only have one at nationals. Only one Kings team's allowed at nationals. It makes it a lot easier for us idiots announcing that aren't very smart.
Well, Mimbo. So
put us in the pool with the Collar City Polos and the Seattle Trees. We'll do a little battle for the throne here.
I love it.
Okay. Last week, we had Collar City on, and he was saying there needs to be a crown, and whoever makes it the furthest at nationals gets to be the kings, and it's a rotating crown between those three chains, like a rivalry trophy. How do you feel about it?
I'm down. Let's go. I'd put us against anyone, even the whatever self-proclaimed kings there are.
So then I have to
Okay.
ask, if you don't win the crown, what's the backup? What's the backup name for the year?
Not even on the radar.
Not even an option.
Why would you plan? Why would you plan to lose?
I'm not saying you're planning to lose. I just didn't know if you had a backup name like locked and loaded. Of like, all right, the Minneapolis, whatever. Because the Minneapolis Wheat just doesn't have the same ring as Wheat Kings. So I didn't know.
Yeah. Not even a consideration.
Not even in the realm of possibility of things that could ever happen, so it doesn't matter. All right, so with that
Hey, I'm
note,
throwing the gauntlet down now. Don't forget your ping pong balls. Put us in a pool.
put us in the pool. Let's go.
Business. We take care of business. Put us with the Collar City Polos and put us with the Seattle Trees.
Seattle
That
Trees,
would be
I love it.
electric cool. That we might have to do that. I'm
Just-
gonna run that one by the board.
Just
but
the Kings. We'll call it the Kings pool, and we're getting rid of it for once and for all.
Yeah, but the way,
King singular. Yeah.
I will say this though, the way Nationals is set up is pool play just sets up the bracket. So you might win your pool play game versus the other Kings, but they may go further in the bracket though. So it's based. The crown is based off of who goes the furthest.
Is a head-to-head. It's like the belt. It's like a belt. Oh, it's who goes the furthest. It's not a belt.
Who goes the furthest?
It's
not just head to head. It's who goes the furthest. I
It's
mean,
okay.
you would probably would face another one in bracket play, but or we could just go to the pool. We could just go head to head like a belt.
Yes, you're getting some compliments actually in the chats. Jobson says, "What's up, Midbow?" And Minnesota has a solid Instagram, bid that you guys definitely are rocking it out. He appreciates it. I know I do whenever I click on it. It's sweet. I love the 8K to watch the videos. I've been trying to learn some editing tricks from whoever you got working there, an actual professional. But all right, so we'll get to the very first round of the just outside the top 5, I guess, and we happen to see that the Minneapolis Wheat, hopefully the Wheat Kings, maybe just the Wheats, but we'll find out here. And then you've got
the 6 through 10, like I feel like that's pretty interchangeable right now until these, Nick said it earlier. You don't play it on a spreadsheet, you play it on the floor. But right now, everybody's undefeated, everybody's got their games, everybody's kind of owning their own regions. So I mean, 6 through 10 is kind of interchangeable right now. That's why everybody's on the same slide, because I like you and Dave are irreversible. Scorpions are 4-0 with some good wins. We're 3-0 for the first time ever. Grand Rapids is kind of starting to turn into Grand Rapids. So I feel like everybody should just be 6, like just tied for 6 at this point, right? Like we're
so that one Coyotes loss is really the anchor on the Grizz there. They're the best number 10 team of all time.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, we had Brian on last week, and he said the Grizz have gotten a lot better. He said, or the Coyotes have gotten a lot better. He said they got a good goalie. They just played this last weekend. I think it was like a 3-goal game. Like,
yeah, he said the goalie, he thinks they lied on the stat sheet because the goalie they put in there must have stopped 1 million shots, and there's no way. What did we look up the stats? It was only like 40, and he said not even close. He's like,
he got statted for 25 or something.
Yeah, he got statted for 25, and Brian said he shot 18 shots himself.
He's like, yeah, I had freaking 37 shots myself, and it only says we took 10. It was pretty funny.
But yeah, that one loss is kind of holding them down at the bottom of the sheet right now. But I mean, everybody else, I feel like, is just kind of waiting to play each other at this point.
Yeah. I mean, and so the Scorpions, they're really the only they're a brand new team, so that's
they're a wild card. They're new. I know they went to Breckenridge and played in that tournament, and they did pretty well out there, which is historically is a pretty good tournament. And they've got some pretty decent wins over the Mambo. The Mambo was an old IBLA team that they were at nationals one year, so the Scorpions could be the dark horse for nationals.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like that's one of those teams that nobody knows that you don't really know because they're playing against the Defenders too, and yes, the Mambo, but how many teams play them? yes, maybe some of these guys have gotten to play him in a tournament, but they could show up and, just be a bunch of studs. You found out that it was a ton of guys who took tech jobs in Austin, and they're all from, British Columbia or who knows where, and just get down there and start slaying it.
That's the best part of this league is nobody knows. Everybody knows somebody on a team, but nobody knows enough to really know what you're going to get into.
No, everybody's like, oh, I know this guy, and he's probably the best player on this team. And then they show up, and you're like, oh, he's just another player on that team. All right, never mind. I'm sure there's a lot of that because we all know how everybody likes to shit talk and say there's so much, oh no, I'm just tearing it up. So here is the number 5. So they would be the highest ranked Kings team, right now.
Yeah,
It would.
they get the nod only because they have a win over Utica and they played their one loss is Oswego. So that's the factors kind of playing their roles is they got that out of region win and that out of region close game. So just it's a slight reward. Like, the power rankings mean more to some people, mean less to others. So they get a little bit of a pat on the back for scheduling those games,
Well,
which again they do have the advantage of being close.
I do like it, but Nick, so as you guys are one of the regions that isn't so close to everybody. I mean, how what would be a fair way, or if you have any ideas, essentially to make out of region play, incentivize, but still not hurt teams like you that it's kind of hard to travel out. Just like the Southwest teams there, that they're not going to be able to travel very often to make it.
Yeah, so while we're lucky that our kind of in-region games are all very close, the closest region would probably be the Michigan guys, and that's you got to get a hotel for that. That's a 8-9 hour car ride. I think, I mean, I think it was Brian threw out this idea of kind of some more of these like regional play days or mini tournaments. I think that would be huge. Free idea. You guys can talk about it. I think there should be some financial incentive for the teams that make nationals. So I don't know if that's like a portion of the league dues or whatever it is, because there's always that kind of second round of fundraising that happens once you qualify. So I don't know if that's ever been kicked around, but because you're asking for almost like a second dues payment, or you're doing a scramble, golf scramble, or knocking on doors or whatever it is to fundraise for the hotel. So I think that's kind of an option to make it not be like a financial punishment in some cases. And then the other thing is like if guys agree to do home and homes, which we're a little bitter about with the Chicago group, they were supposed to come here. They're a non-league team, but following through on your home and home commitments.
Yeah,
and having some type of incentive to do that.
That's for sure one
That's
thing
huge.
we identified last year. I mean, that caused a problem in my region. And that's one thing that we've talked about moving forward is like, I mean, you coach MCLA, you know how it is. Some regions are a little better, or some of those teams are a little bit better than others, but like down at Vandy in the SCLC, like we have like paper agreements of like, no, we're going to go to you.
Yeah.
You're going to go to us. It's on paper. If you bail, you owe revenue. We've talked about that because that's another notch moving forward in the whole semi to professional model of like, hey, if we're gonna come to you guys this year, you guys are coming to us next year, or doing like a regional play day or something like that. So that way it lessens that financial burden because you guys could meet Detroit in Chicago and it'd probably be a lot. I mean, Detroit to Chicago is still pretty close, but you could find somewhere with a rink where you guys could meet them and then someone else could drive up to you guys or something like that. Like I could pitch my guys to drive to Chicago and play you guys. I could never pitch them to drive all the way to Minneapolis. That's like 14 hours or something like that. Like, that's just not happening.
100%.
If we
but then the flip side too, right, is like it's your rink. You can get the food trucks there, your rink crew, your staff. Sell us some tickets. Like it's tough, right? And that's why it hasn't happened a ton yet. But I think there's a lot you can kind of borrow from the MCLA. To your point.
Yeah, and I think as like teams get more and more familiar with each other, like okay, now we've seen this team at nationals. We know Nick is a stand-up guy. Like it obviously seems like you and Jobson might know each other a little bit, but as people know each other from this, and then it's like okay, so I know I can count on Midbow's going to show up next year with the Wheat Kings if he tells me he's going to be there, and I think you'll start to kind of get that as this league grows older. But I do like you got to appreciate what you're saying about how like a home and home that is such a huge thing. If you go ahead and send that out for people. You get everybody to drive, you get a good showing, and then they don't show up. That's pretty frustrating.
Well, and if it's a guaranteed thing, like if you can get those on paper, like if I can tell my guys in August of 23, hey, next year in July,
start paying attention.
Yeah, we're going to Chicago to play the Wheat Kings. Like, start saving up money, start looking at hotels, start, you can buy a plane ticket 6 months out, whatever you got to do. Look for a babysitter. Don't give me those excuses. You had a year to plan it. Like, because I mean, we all know every hour you add to a drive, a new excuse comes up. No, we couldn't get
at least one.
At least one.
And I just realized we're getting close to an hour on the show already. It flies when we're talking box. So let's try to get through the power rankings at least within the hour. So Maine Northman, another team they've been around for a while.
We got a 4.
What? Yeah, Maine is Maine's the perennial, and they're married to one. Unfortunately, with the way the league is set, is Maine and Cambridge. They got a date. I think they're playing this weekend, and then they got their regional playoff. So somewhere between 1 and 4 is not going to nationals. It's the SEC, if you will. It's Georgia, Bama. Not both teams can play in the national championship, unfortunately.
It's going to be interesting, and as these regions kind of get better and better, that's where I think you'll start to see the inter-region play, and that's when you'll start to see teams really starting to kind of push for a benefit of it. Is, well, hey, we're really struggling to get out of our region. It's not quite as fair. Why don't we have a wild card? I could see a wild card someday or something coming out of this, but that's just me.
We discussed it. We actually discussed it this year when there was the issue with Minnesota, and we didn't know if we'd have like a full 10 regions, and we were like, all right, well, how do we do it with 9? How do we get to an even 10? We talked about a wild card, but you want to talk about people arguing about power ranking? Can you imagine a 1-team?
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. I would love to just hear the shenanigans and the crap talk. So then the Wild at 3, not a surprise, they're staying up again.
But I will say, considered moving them to 4 just because their wins are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and score differential is a factor. I don't know if the teams in their region are starting to figure them out or what's going on, but they're not blowing teams. They're not winning. What was it, 30-12, Nick, or whatever you guys did the other day?
I think they're one of those teams though that has like when they split, it's kind of their team split up. Didn't they get a new team in the league that actually took a couple players for them? So they
did. Yeah, they have the Charm City Cannons.
Right.
Took, I think, 4 or 5 from everybody.
Right, and so I mean, if you only
they lost a couple guys to that, I've heard they've had kind of a little bit of a injury bug this summer too. So I don't know, guys out of the lineup, if that's injury or if that's availability with job or personal conflicts. But I've heard they've had a little bit more roster flux than last year.
That's tough, but that's also one of the variables of the league is, we all got jobs. Some people got kids, some people got wives, girlfriends, whatever. And then, I mean, we're all adults. Like, we all got a job to go to on Monday. So if I got a bad knee, I may not play on Sunday because I got to go to work. And you never know.
Yeah, especially if I load and unload stuff for a living. It's one thing if I can get away with maybe sitting at a desk if I know I'm doing something, but like you get some of these guys that got to load and unload stuff, or carpenters, iron workers and stuff, they're kind of looking at it going, that's honestly though, it's one of the reasons I love the sport so much, because you can see how much everybody loves it to get out there for it. I mean, nobody's out there playing this just because they kind of like box lacrosse. I mean, you gotta love the sport to do what everybody's doing to get out there. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And now the number 2 team, I have been able to watch a few of their games. I tell you, this is going to be any team that plays them is in for a treat. They've got that magic touch of guys that can put the ball away and great defense and goaltending. And when the goalies are hot, with a hot goalie, and if you have guys that you're confident you're going to get double digits in every game, that puts you in a totally different spot. This is Nate's done a great job up there building that team. That Spirits team is really going to give everybody a run for their money, and whoever has to go up there this Sunday, either the Yeti or Oswego, they're in for a challenge. It's even if you don't, even if you come out with the victory, you're going to know you played them.
Fans and 37 staff members.
Yeah,
they're a legit team, but they got 2 losses. They're 7-2, so they're beatable. I don't know how Paper City did it and Oswego did it, but they're beatable.
Oh no,
So
they're definitely beatable, and anybody can beat anybody in at least in the upstate league or probably most of these leagues on any given night. I think it's really just going to come down like my favorite thing. I just wish the rink wasn't so hot, but they have the perfect size arena because he packs it in and it feels like it's a wonderful environment. Like you're up there and it is something else up there. It's oh, we lost Nick for a minute. Hopefully he'll be back, but it's the perfect size for what he's got going on up there. It's just it's almost like a sellout crowd basically when you're in there because there's like 200-300 people in a 200-300 people stadium, and he does a great show. So nothing but good luck to him. Hopefully he does okay. Obviously, I would have rather everything been in Utica where it's nice and air conditioned and I can sit in my nice like we get to run things on the jumbotron. Obviously, I'm a little spoiled with Utica and would gladly do that. But that's a tough team to beat, and everybody in this league is just going to be crazy. And now this one, the Cambridge Nor'easters, this is going to be wow.
yeah,
As
they're getting better too. I feel like their wins are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're putting the ball away. They're hitting people. So I mean, it comes down to their date with Maine. But I mean, that could be a team that they're new to nationals, quote unquote. But I mean, they're big, they're mean, and they put the ball away. So and they got an experienced goaltender. So
yeah.
they're in the number one spot for now. But got to get there. Got to get to Chicago first.
Oh yeah, no, it's like you said, and we've seen it before where these teams you could have a great beginning of the year, but it doesn't matter. You got to be able to put it together at the end. You got to be able to get yourself through the season and get on to nationals and then be healthy enough to make it through it, really.
Yeah.
And then the power rankings one, I was like, why do I have one more photo left? It was just the the power rankings, which yeah, I forgot to put that slide on the back end because I number them all, so I know I'm going through it. And I was like, wait, I should be done, but I had one left. It was yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, we just made it through in an hour. We lost Midbow like 5 minutes ago. That must be what I
I'm
told him.
still here. I'm
Oh,
still
all right.
here.
We just
There you
lost your vision. So yeah. So I mean, have you gotten to watch any of those out west or any games, or do you basically just you guys are playing and that's what you're doing?
I mean, I'll definitely, kind of scoreboard watch a little bit. I'll watch, some of the clips, and like you said, everybody knows a couple guys on each team, so it's been fun to keep up with it. Cambridge finally got the main monkey off their back after being petrified of them for the last 4 years. So that was interesting to see. Some of these upstart teams figuring stuff out pretty quick. So a lot of talent, a lot of good box. I mean, testament to everything you guys are doing on that executive team. Again, big shout out to everyone involved with the league. Like things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
Hundred,
yeah.
yeah.
Year two cooking with gas, so excited to get to nationals. Hopefully we see you there, but you never know. Got to win
Let's
first.
go.
That's right. You got to win first. You got to make it out of you got to make it out of your division. Well, we've been over an hour, guys. Thanks so much, Nick. As always, it was awesome talking to you. Hopefully, we'll be doing our little, although I won't have quite enough time for before nationals to get every team's, interview quite ahead of time because this season is so much more condensed. Last year we had what I think 2 weeks building up to nationals. This year, kind of when it runs, it'll be like, hey, we're going, and guess what? We'll be there next week.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, depending
Right.
on the
No, it's always a
regions.
pleasure. Thanks again for having me on, guys. I love talking lacrosse with you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Nick.
All right, and Tim, as always, it's been fun.
Thanks,
Thanks
fellas.
for building the slides for us and everything that you do. We really appreciate the board and getting this on. And we'll be back next week with more Box Lacrosse Weekly. I always forget to announce the show where we're going to call it Semi Pro Weekly or Box Lacrosse Weekly Update. I just love talking to everybody because all these, I don't know, all the team stories. Like when I got to find out about Corbin Tao, and then I talked to you the last time, so I looked him up and I was like, oh, all right, he's played around a little bit. Then you get out there and you start seeing, and you're as soon as you see the number and then you associate some of these players, you're like, oh, I get why he told me, keep an eye on this guy or keep an eye on this guy. And yeah, the league's doing an awesome job growing and getting those guys. So thanks everybody and have a good night.